This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We are on the road in Denver, Colorado. We're broadcasting from Free Speech TV. I'm Amy Goodman. Colorado is one of a handful of states where hundreds of firefighters, paramedics, police, and even corporate employees are being trained to hunt down and report a broadly defined range of suspicious activities. They're called Terrorism Liaison Officers. The federally supported initiative trains them to look out for, quote, observed behavior that may be indicative of intelligence gathering or pre-operational planning related to terrorism. The list of suspicious behaviors includes taking photographs or videos of no apparent aesthetic value, making measurements, drawings, or taking notes, and conversing in code. The program's gaining traction, and Terrorism Liaison Officers, or TLOs, have been deployed in at least 8 states, including Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., and Wisconsin. According to the Denver Post, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence is advocating for a nationwide implementation of the program, but civil liberties watchdogs have come out strongly against the initiative, calling it an expansion of domestic surveillance. Bruce Finley is with us, a staff writer at the Denver Post. His latest article chronicles the story called Terror Watch Uses Local Eyes. He joins us now from Denver. We're also joined by Mark Silverstein, the legal director of the Colorado ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Bruce Finley, why don't you lay out what you found?
Well, it's an effort to get better data into what federal officials say is a necessary integrated system for early warning to try to avert attacks. And so we found out that that the Colorado now has 181 of these TLOs, Terrorism Liaison Officers, posted. They are police, firefighters, paramedics, even security officials with the railroad or utility firms. These are growing out of the fusion centers. I've been watching the creation of a fusion center here in Colorado since about 2005.
Explain what a fusion center is.
Intelligence relay stations, places where law enforcement people at a local level could submit a report, and then they're, in Denver, it's a secure room in a state emergency compound just south of the city, and that is looped into federal computer networks. And the idea is to look at maybe a seemingly minor incident, but put it together with incidents elsewhere, and in doing so put together a more complete picture. Maybe taking a flight lesson isn't really a suspicious activity, but if you could look at a lot of flight lessons in different areas, you might put together a pattern. That's the thinking of security officials who are developing these centers and these deployments of TLOs. So
you might have a utility worker not particularly trained in surveillance, but who goes to someone's home because they're called in, maybe the electricity was turned off or something, and they might use that opportunity to spy on what's going on in the person's home and then put it into a secret government database?
They are reporting their findings, the TLOs, into secret government databases, and the people, they're looking for people with broad access to the community who would add extra eyes and ears. That's the thinking of the folks developing this. It's a work in progress, as are the fusion centers. They go through training, I understand, from talking with my sources. In Colorado, I think the course was about 24 hours of training done over 3 days. Elsewhere, it was more like 5 days of training.
Mark Silverstein, can you talk about your concerns, the American Civil Liberties Union's concerns about a program like this?
Well, sure. This is really this sounds very familiar because we know that shortly after the current administration rolled out several initiatives to fight the war on terror. Many of those initiatives also required sacrificing our civil liberties. And one of those, I think, was called the Total Information Awareness Program. That program caused so much controversy that Congress eventually shut it down, but it's reemerging in other forms. The idea is to gather as much information as possible about as many people as possible and put this all together, allow it to be accessible to to government officials who supposedly can analyze the patterns and determine which of those patterns are indicative of possible terrorist activity. The trouble with that, besides sacrificing so much of our privacy for dubious results, is that there will be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of false positives, completely innocent people going about completely innocent and legal activities who are going to be kicked up by whatever computer algorithm they use. And what's going to happen with the people who are somewhat suspicious or very suspicious in these government programs and government databases? We've already seen the terrorist watch lists and all of the false positives and all of the innocent people who are detained or singled out for extra scrutiny simply because their names are spelled somewhat similar to the name of